Welcome to New Day Cleveland. I'm David Moss, and today's show is about everybody's favorite thing. We're talking about food. And yes, we are on a farm, and that's what this show is going to be about. We're going to visit farms all over northeastern Ohio. And what's cool about that is everyone talks about local, right? Local food. Is it better? Is it expensive? Yes, it's better, and no, it's not expensive. And the one thing I can tell you for sure about food and farmers, everything starts early in the day.
At West Orchards here, we start off with strawberries, and we'll have a few different varieties of strawberries. We go from that into small vegetables. Then after that, the sweet corn gets ready around mid-July, and we stay with sweet corn until the last planting, which is usually around the last week, first week of October. I would say between last year and this year with some of the newer varieties that we're planting, corn's been phenomenal. As our climate change is going on in the wintertime, we have a hard time keeping in the peaches and some of the stone fruits. And so something's got to fill the void. So we've gone from basically 20, 25 acres of sweet corn as high as 80 acres of sweet corn. And it's all hand-picked. Well, when you're picking by hand, you can feel the blunt end. And I will say that this is one thing that a lot of farmers wish people would know. Always look for a bigger ear. You can run your hand over it, and you can feel exactly what's inside there if you want to. When the corn's ready, it'll be blunt on top instead of pointy. There's a reason why that this corn has this outside protective sheath, basically, all the leaves, and that is to keep it as fresh as possible. You wouldn't go to the store and buy a nice bottle of wine, uncork it, and then go home with it uncorked, leave it on the counter, and then maybe today or tomorrow drink the wine. Why do you do that with corn? Because that protection is there to seal in the flavor. Probably some of the best corn you ever had in your life is when it's raw like this. This particular variety, it is so sweet and juicy and good, it's almost just like refreshing. But yeah, raw's good. My father's still here. We put him on the job of driving the tractor every once in a while. And my wife and I are running the farm now and the fruit market, and we've got some really good employees too.
I run the market, so my thing is all up front here. Todd's out back and I'm up here. So we raise a lot of things ourselves. We try to source a lot locally, and we also buy things like avocados and bananas just because it's a convenience for our customers. So then we have a little bit of everything.
Well, what we're doing right now is we've got a bunch of stuff in here that we use in our market. Some of the stuff we bring in from Cleveland Food Terminal, some of the stuff we get from other growers, a whole lot of stuff we get from other growers. Try to keep it as local as we can, and we've got a bunch of people that come in here in the morning, and we just try to help out and keep things rolling. Tough year last year, tried to do what we could, trying to keep people coming, trying to find decent peaches somewhere, something that's of the same caliber as what we grow. That's kind of the hard thing to do. The peach trees we have here, we planted last year. This is their second season because of the winter kill that we had with the temperatures being so cold. And so what we're trying to do here is we've planted sweet corn in between the tree rows. It's something real old school, but we're bringing it back so that we can get enough fertilizer and basically try to get the tree to growing a little faster, and so that in its third year we'll be able to, which will be next year, we'll have a crop of peaches on these. Anywhere where these leaves are at, this is going to be at the base of the leaf is going to be where the fruit budding will take place at. It's already setting its buds for next year's peach, which would be right here. Good ground, bad ground. Every ground is good for something. The trick is trying to figure out what it's good for, and you know, if this ground is heavy enough and good enough for sweet corn, is this ground too light for that? Is it good for peach trees? Is it good for nectarines? Is the ground got a little bit of clay to it so it'll be better for apples? Each piece of ground has its own value, and I guess, and then to make that more difficult, you have to rotate crops all the time. You don't want to plant early sweet corn here and then plant late sweet corn here. You've got to change up the times. You have to change up the crop. I love this job. It's good. It's wholesome, number one. It's very diverse. Every day you make a plan, and every day while you're living the day, the plan changes all the time. We try to put the best product we can out there for the time of the year that it is. And I don't know, you talk to some of the people around here, this is home to them. They remember this as when they were a kid. They still come back. It's an experience. I would like to put an addition on the market, but at my age right now and the way the people like coming into the market and having that fond memory, I think for right now we'll just keep it the same as it is, because it's a good experience for people.
Stoller's Organic Dairy, we've been farming here with my wife and 8 children since 1996. Our approach is to farming is more of a holistic approach. Each animal eats the grass and in turn fertilizes that. The bees pollinate the clover, which produces the seed, which regenerates that. The birds are our insect control. It all works together. A lot of what organic farming is, there's 2 sides to it. One is the things we don't use, which is pretty much anything that ends with a side. There's pesticides, there's herbicides, insecticides, those things we don't use. But perhaps more important is the things we do, and that's we work with the soil. We try and get crop rotations back to the way God designed things. We use a crop that puts nitrogen in the ground, and then we'll take a grass crop that takes that nitrogen back out. It's a complete circle. If you have a healthy soil, when the cows eat that grass, the cow becomes healthier, and then the milk she gives is healthier, and that passes on to you, the consumer. That's what makes our product so special. Our main thing is dairy, but we also grow mostly our own food. We have chickens for eggs, we have woods for maple syrup.
We probably grow about 1/2 acre to sustain ourselves and our family. We have potatoes and corn, tomatoes, peppers from starts, and carrots, radishes, lettuce, just the basics of, and then we also have lots of berries. Yeah, just a lot of what we can and freeze and use for our own table.
On the farm here, my morning starts at 4 o'clock, and then my alarm goes, and a number of the boys and I come out to milk, and the rest soon come. It's a family farm. We all have jobs, we all work together. If any one of us is missing, we're noticed.
I do the chickens and calves. I usually gather in the night, but it's about 2 to 3 dozen.
This is our milk house, and in here is about 1,400 gallons of milk. That'll be going out today. They come and pick it up every other day.
These cows eat mainly grass. Right now they're eating about 250 pounds of grass per head per day. There's 120 some cows in this group, and 2 times a day we give them a new chunk. We move that fence there. You can see it's step-in posts, and we think the grass is very good for them. Our goal is to have the best quality milk that we can when it drives out the lane.
These aren't necessarily the varieties that have the highest yield or the most tons per acre, but we measure in flavor per mouthful.
Now we're headed to a farm that grows some very special and unique produce that will end up on the plates of restaurants all over the globe. That's right, the world. The place is called Chef's Garden.
We're 300 acres. We're surrounded by farms that are farming 3,000 to 5,000 acres. It's all done with huge machinery. Our 300 acres, we only farm 1/3 of that in any one year. And we're doing that because of the commitment to sustainable agriculture. We're rebuilding the nutrients in the soil through a natural process rather than a chemical or synthetic process. Our farm really has evolved over the years. We've worked directly with chefs, and we work with some of the best chefs. Some of the chefs in Cleveland have been great mentors over the years and really guided our vision. We've got 27 different varieties of baby lettuces this year. The speckles and the red oak and the cocard, red romaine, green romaine, a lot of the old heirloom varieties of lettuces. We're looking for those varieties for flavor. It's all about the flavor for us. These aren't necessarily the varieties that have the highest yield or the most tons per acre, but it's we measure in flavor per mouthful.
Here at Chef's Garden, they're going back to the basics, implementing farming techniques from over 100 years ago.
He's going in between the rows and eradicating weeds mechanically. This is one of the big differences in the way that we farm and commercial farming. It's a mechanical cultivation of the weeds. Look, the weeds are competing for the moisture and for the nutrients. We don't like the weeds, but we also don't want to use a chemical to get rid of them. So they're going in between the rows and eradicating. It's just like if you were using a hoe in your backyard. Anything that we can do to make the work easier for the team. Look at small family farming it's difficult. It's back-breaking, it's a challenge. So anything that we can do that makes the work easier for the team, we're looking to do it. And what happens is it's creating a furrow, it's placing the lettuce gently into the furrow, putting a 1/2 cup of water per plant, and then packing the soil back around. Well, let me tell you a little story about this tractor. Of course, back in the 80s, we reached some pretty tough times. A hailstorm wiped out all the crops, and we ended up ultimately losing the farm, and all the equipment was sold off. And this tractor actually was sold to a neighboring farmer. And 20 years later, the farmer retired to go out of business, and he had an auction. And we went to that sale and bought the tractor back and brought it back home on the farm.
Chef's Garden really believes in family farming, so much so that they have the same employees return to the farm year after year.
What really is the crux of what makes this an amazing farm is the team. We have a group of people here that understand the culture and understand the importance. 100% of the team is on a profit sharing program. If we succeed, we share it.
I worked over here for 9 years. So the last, maybe the last 7 years I work in tomatoes. And that's so important to me because it's how I support my family. So I work out just the summer. I go back and visit my family for a few months. And I really love growing tomatoes because it's a small plant, a small seed you put in the ground. And at 3 months, you see the results. It's like a tree. So we have 57 different varieties over here in this location. It's divided in 4 groups. We have the currants, so the very tiny tomatoes, the specialists, the cherry size, the toy bags, medium size, and the heirlooms. So huge tomatoes. I enjoy every single day. I enjoy when we put the tomatoes in the ground, when we prune in, when we harvest in. And I feel bad when we throw it out in November, but you know, it's part of the season. You know, something starts, something is go to the end.
One of the chef's favorite items are the specialty microgreens. They're grown all year round in their high-tech greenhouses.
Well, you know, the chefs have demand for product year-round. And for us to be able to keep the continuity for our chefs and for our team, it's imperative that we have a year-round line of product coming. We have visiting chefs here almost every day of the year. They come, we get in the fields, we get in the greenhouses, we look at plants, we pull the plants up. Sometimes we've even pulled a plant up and recognized that the root was the part of the plant that the chef wanted. It's really about providing chefs with exactly what they want. The chefs get out here, we learn from each other. The chef looks at it at a small stage and says, well, gee, could I get it at that stage? Well, absolutely. It's custom farming. It's really trying to understand what those chefs want and fitting exactly their bill of what they're looking for. Somebody asked me the other day, you know, what would you do if you weren't a farmer? It's in my DNA. I can't imagine doing anything else. If I get the privilege of waking up in the morning, I get to do what I love. You know, the old saying of if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And boy, it's true.
We'll package all of those next day air shipments that will be shipped out across the country and land in kitchen doors by 10:30 tomorrow morning.
We're back at the chef's garden. Okay, now we know how the produce is grown, right? But now we can find out how it's shipped so it gets to where it needs to go.
It's a natural progression of your trip through the farm today. You started out when we were transplanting, and then we were harvesting, and now in this facility what we're doing is we're actually packaging and processing orders for shipment to restaurants. So it depends on what the product is. We're in the tomato area now. That's a little bit warmer because we don't want our tomatoes to get too cold and change that flavor. So we're packaging for individual orders here, whether they want a mixed cherry tomato or a large slicing tomato. It depends on what the application is for the chef. A lot of the product that comes in here that has come out of the greenhouse or the field is washed, individually packaged, and then packed for shipment going directly to the restaurants. This is a direct farm to kitchen farming operation, and most of the times that happens within 24 hours. So it leaves here at 7 o'clock at night and it's on a farm anywhere in the United States by 10:30 tomorrow morning. When we're going into our Cleveland area chef friends, we're on a daily basis. We're harvesting this morning. They have that product for lunch. What you have here is that infamous baby squash blossom that the chef's garden got its start with over 30 years ago. The chefs like these squash at different sizes. Sometimes it's the male blossom with just the blossom. Sometimes it's the female blossom where the blossom is attached to the squash. And sometimes it's even at a very small stage, a very small size, you can see in comparison to a traditional baby squash. Every tomato, every baby squash, every piece of lettuce that you saw harvesting is inspected 5 times. We're inspecting it with the harvester, we're inspecting it with the person who's packaging it here, we're inspecting it with the person who's packaging it into individual packages, who's putting it in a shipping container. The 5th inspection is the one that's the single most important because that inspection is done by the chef. This is a lettuce flume, and what she's doing is washing the kale that's in here today. This just came from the field. It's been harvested about 15 minutes, and she's washing that kale to make sure that we get it nice and clean for the chef so they don't have to worry about it. So what Jorge's doing here is he has individually hand selected and hand inspected every individual piece of lettuce that's going into this box today. And he will look for imperfections, and he will make sure that everything that goes into that box is 100% usable for the chef. And that's one of the things that the chefs are telling us is that their waste from this product is very, very low. Not only because it's fresh, but because we've individually inspected every individual head that goes into that box. It's also important you notice that Jorge and all of the other folks in here are wearing gloves. They've got the lab coats, the hair nets. This is another part of our food safety practices to make sure that once we've got that lettuce good and clean, it stays clean. We're in the shipping area. It's early in the day, so what we're doing is we're just now finishing up the orders that'll go into Cleveland. We've got orders here today for Chez Francois and Vermilion. We've got orders here for the Weston. We've got orders here for the Canterbury Golf Club. On this side, we've got Lola, we've got House of Blues, and we've got Greenhouse Tavern. Then as the day progresses, we'll package any orders that are within a 3-state area that are shipping ground. And then later in the day, we'll package all of those next day air shipments that FedEx will come and pick up later this evening, that will be shipped out through Memphis, across the country, and land in kitchen doors by 10:30 tomorrow morning. When we sit here and we talk about our product going to Hong Kong twice a week, going to Disney, going on cruise lines, going on personal yachts around the world, and we're shipping to ports of call, very humbling and mind-boggling sometimes. The key to what we do here at the Chef's Garden is really threefold. It is the varieties that we choose. So we do a lot of work with old heirloom varieties. We save a lot of our own seed here on the farm. It's how we farm the soils, and then it's also the relationships. We really are about the chefs. We're just blessed to be able to have built something really special that is far bigger than us. It's all about art, and what we do at the Chef's Garden is we sell paint to artists.
Well, let's start with the purples, and then we'll just work our way down the field.
We started our farm out, moved from Solon out to Auburn, bought 43 acres. Wasn't planning on farming. We actually bought it from a developer to keep it a farm, and none of the farmers in the area wanted to farm the land, so I already owned one tractor, and I think I own about 7 tractors now, and my combine. So we farm about 150 acres. Our main crops are the vegetables. We grow in high tunnels in our hydroponic greenhouse, and then we grow in the field.
We're picking purple beans. They're called a burgundy bean.
It's a family farm. We're pretty much all self-taught, first generation.
When they fall off the branch, they're done. They're called a ground cherry. It's an heirloom tomato. It tastes like a berry, and they used to make pies out of them years ago.
We grow great produce in this area because of the soil conditions and our growing methods, and we come up with a premium product.
We eat a lot of our vegetables raw. It has greater nutritional value. Its sugars are still left in it, and as we're picking in the field, you get a little hungry, so we just start eating the raw food, and even the corn we eat raw. We test it raw before we start picking a row to make sure that the sugars are set in it.
Well, we do our farmers markets every week. That would be on Saturdays and Sundays. So the prep is usually just my wife and my daughter will go out and they'll start figuring out what they want to pick. They'll get into the high tunnels and the hydroponic in the fields, and they'll start picking the produce, and we pick the best produce available.
What we're picking today are our tomatoes in the high tunnel. It's a covered house that is actually underneath this tarp is our soil, and it's amended every year. The tarp comes off, we amend our soils, use compost in it, overwinter it, and then next year we'll put down the tarp again.
Good morning, America, how are you? Don't you know me, I'm your native son.
Produce from our farm was picked fresh yesterday. We have our homemade almond butter and peanut butter.
I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done.
The community likes buying local. They want to see the face of the farmer, and that's me. They come to the markets. I got little kids coming in there, and it's not like going to a big supermarket. They know where the produce is coming from. It's coming right from my farm. They know that we're growing it. There's no middleman.
I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done.
The property that we're standing on used to be an elementary school, so this land was repurposed.
We're back taking a look at farms throughout Northeast Ohio. Okay, let's take a look at Cleveland. Now, Cleveland's an industrial city, right? It's not a place where you have a lot of produce growing. Well, maybe that's changing right now. You've seen the farmer markets, but there's also farmers growing produce. They're called urban farmers.
Our farm is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are a small urban farm. We focus primarily on growing herbs and eggs and vegetables. We have a few different markets, and those are right here at the farm. We have a pretty substantial CSA program, and we also sell food to restaurants. The property that we're standing on used to be an elementary school, so this land was repurposed into a productive piece of property where we kind of marry the ideals of growing food and working with the community and together and for something beneficial. On a small space, the important thing to take away is that we're planting the space more than once in a year. So this field here has been planted, this is the second time. It started with lettuce in the spring. So everything you see that's planted with green beans now was all lettuce plants. We harvested all that lettuce. We just replanted these beans last week. You can see they're just starting to germinate. Now that is how a field works. Now these hoop houses have an even a more elaborate sort of dance. So at the beginning of the season, our hoop houses actually have all of our transplants in them, where we're starting from seed and trays, those in preparation to go in to the fields. Once those have come out, we plant a spring crop in there. So that might be a lettuce, or it might be a spinach. It's usually something of high quality. From that point, we come into we might harvest that out and we come into a summer crop. So we might grow herbs in there. We might grow tomatoes, some sort of hot item. In here right now, you can see we have some cutting celery. Behind me, we have some sweet basil, and hanging from the roof, we do have a little bit left of our leftover garlic that is just finishing curing. And then those come out, and then we're gonna plant, again, both of these buildings here will become all beets for a fall crop, as well as our larger building will be planted all with spinach. And then we will harvest that all the way into the winter time. So our year pretty much starts at the end of February, where we're starting transplants, and it ends at the end of January the next year. So what we have here are some collards and some kale. These are two of our favorites here at the farm, simply because we're able to start them at the beginning of the season and then harvest from them all year round. So here, the collards, as you can see, they have a nice thick stalk on them. We're harvesting these outside leaves each week for different orders, and then the inside smaller leaves are growing into the larger ones. So these will be productive for us all the way into the fall. Besides herbs and vegetables, we do have the largest flock of chickens in the city of Cleveland. This is our hoop coop, as we like to call it here at the farm, and these are the ladies. We have 125 chickens, all the same breed. They are all golden buffs. All of these chickens are brown egg layers, and we primarily use those eggs for sale right here on the weekends, as well as in our farm shares each week. One thing about managing chickens the way we do with our free range and not using antibiotics is you need to be very diligent about checking each chicken every day and inspecting each one for signs of ill health. And if one is seen to have any sort of issues, they are brought up to the front of the farm where they are isolated and treated accordingly. They are still a small part of what we do, but they are an important part of what we do because the chickens are part of our larger system. In that system being that we can provide those chickens with scraps from our vegetable production, which you won't find too many eggs at the grocery store that came from chickens that live on an organic vegetable farm. So that really does make the eggs taste really good. And also that manure that is produced from those chickens can be composted right here on site, and then we're able to use that manure as fertilizer for the vegetables that we grow. So this is our apiary here at Rising Harvest. We actually have 3 hives. 2 of them are being extracted at the moment, This one is a very productive hive. The reason that we have bees on the farm is primarily for pollination of our fruiting vegetables, such as our peppers and our tomatoes and eggplant, anything that flowers before it fruits. And they are kind of built into the poultry area for a reason. The chickens are kind of allowed access into the apiary, and it helps keep pests that may have some interest in the honey that's in the supers of the hives kind of at bay, because as maybe not everyone knows, chickens are omnivores, so bugs are one of their favorite items on the menu. So they're not eating the bees, but they're keeping any sort of ants or other pests that might want to get into those hives kind of at bay. I think urban farming is here to stay. It is a part of this community now, and I think it's becoming a larger part of the greater community of Cleveland.
It's funny, I joke because we have our rustic old building, and you know, the fence line's full of weeds and stuff, and every farm I visit looks just like that. The kind of the outbuildings are kind of hanging, and there's weeds around there and stuff, and that's what a working farm looks like. But when you look like that in the city, you look like just another rundown property. But I look at it and I see this cool rustic space, and we're trying to capitalize on that. We want people, when they come here, to really feel like they've walked out of the city for a minute, to keep that real farm-like feel. We got a lot of growing going on the property. We're working on getting chickens on the property and things like that, to make it a little more of experience rather than just somewhere you go to buy vegetables. Somewhere where you can go to learn, somewhere where you can go to, have your kids come and see chickens, somewhere where you can actually see the stuff that you're buying being grown, and you're talking to the person who's growing it, and you're buying stuff in many cases that was picked literally a couple hours earlier right across the street. I'm unique, I think, in a lot of people in the greater Cleveland area, and I love East Cleveland. I mean, it's a mess for sure, but it's got some awesome history. I mean, you could drive up and down these side streets and see beautiful houses that need a lot of work, but they're there. And this is a big piece of the history of this market. There aren't too many markets this old anywhere. I believe this is the second oldest permanent farmers market in the state of Ohio. Somebody was able to find one that was 150 years old, like way older than us. But virtually everything else is either moved or closed down or restarted somewhere else. And this property has stayed the same. In fact, it's growing. We're actually acquiring more property rather than shrinking.
The food is consistently fresh and good, and I just want to, support my local neighborhood farmers market.
We have a very wonderful, dedicated core group of customers that come here to buy every bit of their groceries they can here before they go anywhere else and buy the add-ons that you can't get at a farmer's market, oranges or something like that. And a lot of people in the summer are the people who just, maybe they don't buy a lot of fresh produce, but they understand a watermelon straight out of the field. They understand fresh sweet corn that was just picked that morning. And so they'll come there for those things that really inspire them. They can't get any other time of the year. So there's kind of like the two different groups, the groups that are just come for certain things at certain times, and the people that come every week all winter long to buy whatever they can get their hands on to really support it like in a real way.
There's not a fresh vegetable store around in this area. And there's a lot of children around here that need to eat some fresh vegetables, as well as the adults.
The future is, again, traversing this switchover from the old school field farmers driving in for 45 minutes, an hour away, to more urban agriculture. And there's a lot of it happening in Cleveland. And the products they bring in are really cool. And I think the future is going to be more people in the city growing more of those crops, that used to only be able to come from far away. As a cook, I want this access in my neighborhood. I want to be able to buy fresh stuff directly from farmers right by my house.
This is a hydroponic farm, meaning we grow everything in water, so there's no soil here.
Well, there it is, the backbone of a farm. A lot of folks traditionally think of the soil as being the main ingredient for farming. But guess what? There's a whole new technology out there. You don't need any dirt.
Green City Growers is a hydroponic greenhouse located here in Cleveland off of East 55th Street. We opened up about 2 years ago, and we're structured as a worker-owned cooperative. So the employees who you'll see here today are earning equity in this operation and will ultimately own this business. This is a hydroponic farm, meaning we grow everything in water, so there's no soil here. It's what we call a float bed system. So the lettuces and herbs that you'll see here today grow floating across ponds of nutrified water. Our facility is about 3¼ acres of growing area, or roughly about 200,000 square feet. So it's very, very sizable. We have the capacity to do approximately 3 million heads of lettuce a year, in addition to about 300,000 pounds of herbs per year.
A couple of the products that we're growing right now is our Cleveland Crisp, which is unique to us. It's a relatively new product. We have exclusive rights to it. It's a cross between green leaf lettuce and iceberg, so it's got the nice frilly leaves on it without the solid core. We also grow green and red butter, red and green romaine. We just started a mixed greens. We do about 3,000 pounds of basil a year also. We are in Marc's, Kroger's, Meyer's, and we also have a stand at the West Side Market.
What you'll see in the facility today is about 1 million gallons of water that we have at any given point in time, but over 85% of that we've been successful in capturing off of these rooftops into some cisterns where we store that water before it gets purified and then nutrified and cycled back to those growing ponds.
Step one of the process is seeding into what we call what's called Oasis. It's a certified organic media. Between 7 and 10 days, we transplant them into our 36 count boards, and it's just as simple as sliding one in each hole.
What makes Green City Growers unique as a growing facility is the high level of control that we have over pretty much all of the variables involved with farming. So, starting with air temperature and water temperature, very key variables for us to control, again, throughout the year. We're also controlling the amount of light that these plants have access to. So on a day like today, we're limiting the amount of sunlight because they've had enough. During the winter, we'll turn on those artificial light fixtures that you see to make sure that they do get enough. Then we're controlling all of the variables of the water itself, including the pH of the water. I mentioned temperature, and then also the nutrient content of the water. So that's constantly being monitored and adjusted so that it's at the optimal level for all of the various varieties that you see here.
So while you're in your grocery store and you see our product, you'll notice that all of our packages all have the Cleveland Grown sticker on it. And you'll also notice a little ladybug says pesticide-free and non-GMO. The ladybug is actually what we use to control all of our pests, or any pest problems that we might have. So when we release the ladybugs, what they do is they hunt for any invasive bugs. They go ahead, they eat them all up, and then when they're all done, they kind of fly away. We release them several times a week.
It's a great operation. We're very proud of what we do here, building individual wealth for residents of our local neighborhoods while bringing better local produce to the Cleveland area.
Anyone can come to the market. You can get a number. There's just about every kind of produce that can be grown in this area here.
So how does all this beautiful and delicious produce end up at local stores? Well, it's our final stop of the day. It's at auctions like this one.
It's kind of unique the way this started. There was about 25 growers sat around a kitchen table in an Amish home in the middle of October back in 1994. And we decided this is what we needed for this area. There's just about every kind of produce that can be grown in this area here. And when we first started, because all these farmers were growing, raising hogs and cattle, we had to teach all of them how to grow produce. Some of them started specializing in tomatoes, some of them went to sweet corn, some of them went to melons, and there's no rhyme or reason. It's what the family likes and what grows well on your farm. And so if you are buying produce, you can get anything that grows in Ohio at this auction sometime during the year. So we start middle of April with flowers, 1 day a week. 2 weeks before Mother's Day, we go to 2 days a week, so we can start, people can stock up for Mother's Day with hanging baskets. And then until we get into strawberries, we're 2 days a week. Then in June we go to 4 days a week, and then we're 4 days a week all through October, and we back down to 2 days and then 1 day. The buyers here are farm markets, small grocery chains, brokers.
Well, I buy, basically I like to tell people I buy for a village every day because I work for a college, and then we buy for 1,600 people. So we have 1,600 people, actually 1,700 now, and we buy everything for them, everything they have to eat. And right now we're probably running about 70% local food, you know, with in-season produce and everything. What am I looking for today? I bought cantaloupes because it's the end of the season, it's really hard to get them. And there was a good variety here today. Watermelon, same thing, okay. Some beets, my guy's between his beets, okay, but all of a sudden beets weren't that popular. Now this week they're popular, so my chef wanted beets. So that's just how this game works, all right.
Anyone can come to the market, you can get a number, and but again, when you buy something, for instance, these bins of pumpkins, they're gonna bid on them so much per pumpkin, you take the whole bin. So on these pie pumpkins, there may be 100 in a bin. If you bid $1 a piece, that's $100 for the bin. We have 2 auctioneers going right now. One of them is selling large lots, pallet lots, and the other one selling small cart lots. Bueller's is the largest buyer here. Bueller's sometimes fills 2 semi-loads a day. I'm really proud of this market. I helped start it. I'm amazed at the number of things that are grown in this area. I'm amazed at the quality that's grown here, and I'm amazed also where all this stuff goes. It goes all over Ohio. $3 to $4 million worth of produce a year now that stays in this locality. Mount Hope auction has grown to be the largest in Ohio and still is. There are 8 or 10 other auctions in Ohio, but not near as big as this one.
Talk about a new appreciation for walking down the produce aisle at the grocery store, or is it the farmer's market, or is it the chef's garden? Wherever it is, we find out how Northeast Ohio farmers put together the best produce in the world, and that means local, and I hope you enjoyed our edition of Down on the Farm, New Day Cleveland. I'm David Moss, and I'll see you on the next one.